Thank you. So, yes, a formal welcome on behalf of ICF Pune to all of you, and thank you for joining us this Saturday afternoon on this webinar with Vivek Yatnalkar on ICF Competencies. So, I'll just take a minute to introduce our speaker and why he is such an apt person to talk about today's topic. So, Vivek is a PCC and on his way to MCC. He is a certified mentor coach and also a trainer. So, along with being a certified MBTI professional, he also is the trainer facilitator. He is an executive coach and he's also training people or mentoring people to become a coach. So, in his practice, he naturally has a first-hand experience of not only talking about competencies, but also to see how people look at competencies, how they approach it, how they prepare for CK, and then maybe they leave it behind. So that's the point of view from which he will be talking. Professionally, he comes with a very rich experience of more than 28 years. And roughly the first half is in IT. He worked internationally in India, China, US, UK. And since 2007, he moved into the learning and development space. So obviously, he also has an experience of how people learn. Currently, he is heading Miraki. Miraki is a curriculum development. Miraki is a leadership development organization, as I understand. And as I already said, that he's an executive coach and also a mentor coach. So that's about our illustrious speaker today, whom I am told also does magic tricks. I am sure he will be weaving his magic with this audience today of a different type. And although I've already briefly shared what we are doing today, let me just refresh for the people who are joining in now. Vivek is going to talk about uh, competencies from the point of view of a certain keywords. He will explore keywords in those competencies and what is their impact on the being aspect of a coach. So what it will do is that it's not just a refresher, but it will also help you appreciate how competencies can add value to your coaching practice. So it's not just something that we learn to pass the CKA. It's also something that can help to deepen your practice if you are already a practicing coach. And if you are a learner coach, then obviously the benefits are immense. So with that, I hope I haven't missed anything important, Vivek. If I have, please do add, and the stage is yours.
Thank you, Saurav, for those kind words. And good afternoon, people. This is Vivek from Pune, logging in from Pune. I was just thinking, so till last year, I was, kind of like playing Saurav's roles. It's like talking to your family members today, and a couple of my teachers are in the audience. So you know what happens to a student when you talk in front of teachers, right? But that's how it is. But it feels really nice to speak to your friends. Now there was a time we all used to meet in person, but now we get to meet in virtual avatar. Um, and I'm really very happy to really share this topic today of this ICF competencies. And before I share my documents and PPT, just a couple of thoughts which are running in my mind today. So my initial journey started as an executive coach, right? So going through a course, studying the competency, giving the CKA, and working with clients. And is the later part of my life, I started my mentor coaching practice and the training practice, as Saurav said. So I currently teach the L1 students, the class, the 14 hours class typically. And this is where whatever I did not do as a coach or whatever I did as a coach was, should I would use was exposed, kind of like Vivek, well, this is what competency says and this is what you have been doing. So I think there was a chance for me to do course correction. And that really enhanced my overall effectiveness of the coaching I did with the leaders. So, and I think I'm coming from that perspective. So today's conversation is more from a practitioner's perspective. Yeah. I'm not an author of any book. I have not written ICF competencies, neither I've been any part of any ICF group which writes competencies. So whatever I'm sharing is from my real life experience of working with corporates and people. Yeah. So anybody looking for a theoretical understanding, or theoretical conversation about why this comma and why this full stop, I can attempt a conversation with you after the session is over. But I think the time we have, it is slightly challenging. Yeah. So again, Lata, again, thank you so much for inviting for today's session. And here we go. So I'm going to share my screen. There are two documents I'm going to share. I've put in a slide deck together, and plus the master document, the ICF competency definition. That's the document I'm going to refer to. It may be helpful for each one of you to have a notepad and a pen ready with you. We're going to do some exercise on the way as well. Saurabh is going to help me monitor the chat box. So anytime you have any question, please type in the chat box. We just want to manage the time. There are 8 competencies we're going to cover. So I'm just cognizant of time. But anytime you are like, you want to speak, just raise your hand, go to reaction button and raise your hand, and I'll be glad to respond to your question. We'll just manage time. Plus, there is a 10-minute time I've kept towards the end where we can take all your questions. Yeah, all good people? Yep, go to reaction button, give me thumbs up. So we are good to go. People hidden behind cameras. All right, 4 thumbs up. Let's go. All right, diving deep into ICF competency. Saurav, can you just unmute and tell me you can see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Yeah, thank you so much. So let's dive deep into the competencies. So 3 parts, as I said. Number 1, it's a practitioner's approach. It is not a therapist approach. So I'm going to share with my experience and whatever conversations I have had with students in multiple formats, the 60-hour course and a 3-day course and a 1-day course and keynotes, what have been my learning about competencies, what has been interpretation. And I'm also going to, time permitting, I'm also going to talk about that third line, which is classic traps of we as practitioner coaches. And I've seen some master coaches also falling into those traps of not interpreting competencies, but doing those. And again, Vivek also is a learner. So let's go deep dive into competencies. It is not going to be a one-way download. Wherever you feel like, feel free to drop in your question, and Saurabh will stop me and we'll respond to this question. Yeah, that's like the context. This is something interesting I saw recently on ICF website. People who are going for higher credentialing or credentialing renewal, it's mandatory for each one of us to go through a 3-hour ethics course. So whatever you see on your screen is from that ethics course. It's a very nice course, takes only 1 hour. I'll highly recommend go and have a look at that. While what they have said for ethics, I kind of liked it for competency, right? So I'm going to share that here. Let me use my pointer. So when we look at competencies, there could be 3 mindsets with which we may look at competency. Right? Number 1 is a hurdle, something coming in my way. Yeah. And let me give an example, which says, one of the things we say is preferably ask open-ended questions. Don't guide the client, and then people typically ask in the class, Vivek, I have 30 years of experience. I've been a CEO of the company. I'm a CHRO. I know the problem that guy is facing exactly. Why can't I give an answer? Yeah. So sometimes people feel competencies as a hurdle, something coming in their way of they becoming a coach. And you also know, some of you who are practitioner coaches, you also know they have not understood what ICF definition of coaching is all about. They actually are trying to do consulting or mentoring, but they are using coaching as an approach. Yeah. So one of the mindset is seeing competency as a hurdle. The second approach I've seen people doing, competency as a burden. Oh, I have to. Like one of the thing in the listening is, or evokes awareness, we have a silence as a tool. Oh, I have to be silent. So they say, oh, Vivek, how many times in a 20-minute session I have to be silent? There is no formula. Being curious. They think, or another thing, asking powerful, thought-provoking questions. So they see it as a burden, saying, oh, I must be asking those questions. Or being present. There are some keywords I'll talk about. So some people think it's like when you climb a mountain, you have your sack with 10 kilos on your back. So some people feel that, saying competency as a burden. And the third, and I'm inviting, and obviously I must admit I have had my own journeys coming from a typical corporate background, and you thinking you don't have time and you need to run through this coaching conversation and you must achieve a result. I think we all have been there during our coaching practice, right? Invitation is, as we go through the competencies, can we make it a way of being? That's an invitation. And what does that mean? Obviously, you can discuss with your mentor, coach. But today, my invitation to each one of us, including me, is each line, each word, each comma in that competency definition. How do I make it my part of being? Let me actually stop sharing here, and I want to share something. So where I live in Varje, we have a school here next door. And every day morning, people recite that pledge, right? Yeah, India is my country and ta 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 ta. In school, we have been doing it. And every day, you listen to the same thing. And I kind of like tend to apply that to competencies. Yeah, during my CCCK and PCC and all, I used to read that competency document quite regularly. And now lately I realize while I conduct the classes, now you read the competency document, suddenly that line is telling you something else. What does that silence as a tool mean? What does that line, I'm aware of the context and culture of the client mean? What does that line of, I allow the conversation to go in the direction client chooses mean? And what do I need to do? What should be my being so I do that? And today's conversation is around that, of those lines, whatever. Saurabh, one of the participants also said, Vivek, 8 competencies, so many lines, how many things to keep in mind? That's like that burden mindset, right? Oh, I need to follow so many things when I do a coaching conversation, right? So invitation is, as we go through those keywords again and again, what are they telling you? What are you picking up from that? And how are you implementing them in your coaching practice to take it to the next step? And that's something I'm attempting to do in today's conversation. Yeah, let's come back here again. So those are the 3 mindsets I want to share with you. Couple more things. One more thing we discuss in the class, and I know you might have seen in a lot of coaching literature. They say the dance, right? Coaching is a dance between coach and a coachee led by coachee. Now, again, it is not a scripted dance. So it is impromptu dance. You both have to be together. You can't be allowing coachee to go somewhere and you say, I will do my own dance. And it's led by coachee. So coachee takes the first step and then you take the next step. Yeah. If we internalize this statement, the thing like coaching process is led by the client. Now you can't be saying, hey, I have a prescripted path for you. That typically a consulting approach, or typically, hey, I know what is best for you. Yeah. While we are interpreting different competencies and keywords, this analogy has helped me a lot. When I sit there or when I play the role of a coach, I always tell myself, Vivek, where is your client taking you? Are you with your client? Yeah. Which step client is taking? Are you resisting going there? Do you notice what is happening to client when client is going there? Do you want to make client aware where client is going? Yeah. So lot can be and obviously we can revisit this line once we go through the competency one. Another interesting line before we see the ICF definition of coaching is the belief before we go through the competence. So one of the belief we have is the client is complete, is the client is creative, and client is resourceful. The client is complete, the first one. While during the coaching session, we say, hey, what is that you would like to discuss today? Some of the coaches say, hey, which problem would you like to discuss today? Or some coaches say, hey, what challenge you are bringing to the table today? So what I've learned from my mentor coaches is the client wants to discuss something. It may not be an issue. And there are very nice 2 words. I'm not going to discuss them today, but I'm just going to mention it here. Client may would like to address or would like to resolve. Very interesting. They just may want to talk about it, address. Or there is a problem, they would like to resolve it, but they don't know that. They may come to you with an intention of addressing something and may turn into resolve. But fully knowing they are creative. They have everything. What does it take to solve that? They also have all the resources. It could be people, it could be thoughts, it could be emotions, it could be network. They are complete. Now, as a coach, Can I see my client that way? Since the kind of questions I ask, the way I look at them, my tonality, my being is affected when I have a different lens. And what I've learned is, can I read competency through this? Like the keyword partnering, of equal level. That's like cognitive understanding. Oh, we are a partner. What does that mean? I need to be at equal level. But am I just doing that for understanding level, or my internally I accept that person as equal level? And this I typically ask the young coaches, right? Let's say you are coaching a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, and you are just a young coach. What do you feel? What are you going through? Or vice versa. One of the CEO in one of the batches, CEO came to the class and saying, Vivek, I have a difficulty when a junior engineer comes to me for coaching, and I'm a CEO with 30 years experience, all material needs met. So we had a big talk about what would it take for you to think the client is complete. Client doesn't have any problem. He doesn't have any deficiency. Yeah. With this guideline of it's a dance led by them, and saying that's a belief they are complete, creative, and resourceful, let's revisit the ICF definition before we touch the competencies. Very interesting. It will give a different meaning now. So first is partnering. Irrespective of who you are, irrespective of whatever background you come out with, irrespective of your bank balance and the car you drive, you're a partner. Can you be the partner in the room? Yeah, that being thing. Might be you're an author, might be you're a master coach, might be you have won a Prism Award. But and maybe you are coaching an NGO, like one of the project we were running from Pune chapter. One of my client assigned to me was the guy in Mumbai working for kids of prostitutes. Now, Vivek being a PCC coach, what does it take Vivek to be a partner with that person? Yeah, it's quite a challenge. Otherwise, our ego kind of like starts playing, right? And this, whatever I'm saying is detailed out in competencies. We're going to revisit few parts of it. Yeah, so partner with clients in a thought-provoking, in a creative process. So let me start reverse. So competencies talk about it's a creative process. While in the market, there are a lot of courses and a lot of us who have specialized on a typical process. Yeah, I'm a career coach, I'm a happiness coach, I'm a this coach and a that coach. Subtly, some of us are using a process and a model. ICF does not recommend a model. Yeah, while we all, I call that, actually one of the colleagues said in one of the sessions, it's called consultative coaching. So please remember, it's a creative process. Meaning, the kind of questions you will have, at which place you will take pause, which place you will paraphrase is not predefined. And if it's not predefined, as a coach, one of the things expected from you is to be in the moment. We're going to discuss that today, being a conscious and present. If you have to be creative in the moment, you got to be there with the client in that particular moment. Now, if I have to be in that moment, whatever is happening in my life, today there is no water. I had fight with my spouse. I'm hungry. I'm running cold today. I did not get promotion yesterday. I have a flat tire. And I can build on and on and on. But I need to have my process to work on my emotions and be present in the room. It's part of our competencies. And this is where the being of coach comes in. It is not really passing the CK. It is a lot more than that. For the coaching to become creative process, we have to do a lot of work on ourselves. And I think that has been a side benefit of we becoming a coach, right? I'm sure you all will agree with that, since I personally have benefited that. And the another keyword is thought-provoking. The classic question people ask, okay, Vivek, what are the 5 questions? Which are the most powerful questions you should ask? So thought-provoking is a result. There are no standard questions saying, oh, you ask, you ask, you ask. At times, one of the thought-provoking question is, for me, has been, hey, what else? No, for you to know to ask that question, you got to be there, you got to listen, and you got to know there's the right place to ask that question saying, hey, what else? You need to know the context of the person, you need to know the culture of the person. We're going to dive deep into these 2 words. And then the process becomes thought-provoking. Friends, one of the reason I'm going through the details of competency is my invitation to each one of us, including me. Once we start living the competencies, I would invite each one of us to revisit this definition. After each coaching class, we can come back and say, hey, I just had a 1 hour coaching conversation with my client. How much of this did happen in my class? Sorry, in my session. Was I partnering? Was the conversation thought-provoking? Was it a creative process? And another keyword, inspires. Something happens inside the client. I am not forcing him. Some new neuron network got created with whatever you did. Might be you sat silent, might be you asked some questions, might be you created that, cultivates trust and safety. You did something in the room so that he was inspired. Did it happen? And again, the result is to maximize their personal and professional potential. And I use is 1 plus. It may not be 10 plus in every session. It's just 1 plus. And one of the coach asked me when we were doing mentor coaching, Vivek, how do I know, whether that maximizing thing has happened or not? And I often give an analogy. At least in India, it happens when you go to buy sugar, loose sugar, you can buy, 1 kilo and a half a kilo and a quarter kilo. And when you buy that, the granular sugar, that half a kilo is made up of small granules. 1 kilo also is made up of same small granules. And if you realize the 5 kilo also is made of those small 1 granule. As a coach, can I believe when this maximizing their personal and professional potential is happening, at least I contributed that 1 small granule, and it's happening when we live out those competencies. So before we reach the words, that way it is an English text and we can dive deep into that. But to me, this is an outcome. And my experience and the feedback I'm getting from the new CKA, some of the participants who have given the new CKA, what they tell me, Vivek, it is not really the knowledge of competencies is useful, but internalizing competency is useful to crack the new CKA. That's what they are saying. Yeah, and this is where I'm spending a lot of time on internalizing bit, not the cognitive bit. Yeah, so I'm going to take a pause here. And if we have any quick 1 or 2 questions or reflections, they can type in chat box before now onwards, I'm going to go to the competency and a keyword in a competency. Any quick thoughts, questions at this moment?
Vivek, Nagesh here, you are using the word CK. I really didn't follow what is CK.
Okay, so CKA, the coach knowledge assessment, when you go for credentialing,
Okay.
one of the requirement for credentialing is the study you do, the classroom, the number of coaching hours you do, the audio recording validation, and there's an online exam you have to give. It's called CKA, coach knowledge assessment.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to.
Got it. Thank you.
Super. Okay. Super. Looks like no questions, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So friends, starting now, I'm going to take competency, and then there are few keywords in that competency. I thought they were valuable and I got a lot from them. We're going to visit that. And if you have any detailed questions, we'll take slightly later once I finish competencies. Today, I'm not going to talk about ethics. It's a separate chapter altogether. So out of 8, I'm going to skip ethics, but remaining things I'm going to touch on. Excuse me. All right. So friends, time to have a notebook, pad and a pen with you. And I'm going to share my thoughts looking at time, while I thought I will have a conversation around it. But I'm just going to share my meaning. And then anybody has any questions or you want to add, we'll take 1 or 2 comments and we'll move on for all next 7 competencies. And I've changed the sequence a bit, the way I thought it's critical for me as a practicing coach. So I want to jump on this cultivates trust and safety, right? And the definition talks about maintains a relationship of mutual respect and trust. And then competency goes on describing what are the various things you want to talk about mutual respect and trust. Once this environment of mutual respect and trust is created, most of the time you as a coach will experience the client is quite open and sharing everything, whatever client wants to share with you. And that's what it is. And there are a lot of exercises on it. How do you trust people? How people trust you? At what time, you think your trust is broken, and lot many other things. One of the important part I learned from my mentor coach, and actually it happened in reality. And I was doing one professional coaching, and our chemistry meeting happened, and I told the client saying, hey, it may be a good idea. Two things I suggested. I told it may be a good idea to do an MBTI assessment before we start coaching. And second is, we are contracting for 6 sessions. I think the amount of learning objectives you have, I think we may need 10 sessions. And I was like, kind of like very happy at my suggestion, this and that. And I told this to my mentor coach, and he says, and over a cup of coffee, he says, Vivek, what do you think? Where is this you suggesting MBTI is coming? And where is this you suggesting 10 session is coming? And then he connected back and he asked me a question. How much trust you have on your client? And I was like, pin drop silence. So while there is a trust and safety in the room, as a coach, do I trust my client? Saying they are complete, creative, and resourceful. And here you have Vivek, who's doubting abilities of his client. And I'm saying, wow. So while in competence a bit, and we all know the tricks of the trade, how to create the trust, and then body language and the words and what to say and not to say to create trust in the room. But I would invite each one of us under this competency to watch out the kind of question you ask, the kind of reply you have to the client, the kind of presence you have in the room. Yeah, the kind of, at times non-verbal cues we have on the client. How much trust do you have on their capabilities? Would they be able to crack it? And a lot of corporate client can, but this guy's been promoted from a lower level to a higher level. Do you believe he can make it? Do you believe he can resolve the conflict? Do you believe he can overcome his emotional turmoil, whatever he's going through? And that's an invitation. That has been a huge learning for me under this competency from the session 1, from the chemistry meeting. How much trust do I have on my client? This person will crack it. And for me, it was a struggle. Now, again, all of us, great corporate experience, great life experience, credentialing, and then we develop our own assessment about people. Unknowingly, we are quick to impose our assessment on a client. Or that's a classic trap. I'm not saying all of us do it. Some of us may. I was a culprit. So that's my learning from this competency. So while you create a safe environment in the room, how much are you trusting your client, despite wherever they come from? It could be a college student. It could be your relative, it could be your best friend. It could be your junior. Some of you acting as your internal coaches in the organization. And so on, so on. And we can go on. Is that okay? Give me a thumbs up. Does it make sense, people? Yeah. Trusting your client. And these are the 2 words I've used a lot, and I would invite you to go to chat box now. Embodies a coaching mindset, remains aware of and open to the influence of context and culture on self and other. Yeah, I would like you to go to chat box and write 1-line definition. What's your understanding of context and culture? Since, as Saurabh said in the beginning, it's all open to interpretation. Yeah, so let me stop sharing my screen. Again, all views are right views, friends. Give it a shot. All right. Culture is a social historical background, while context is personal. Okay, thank you. Couple more, please. Context to me is the current state of mind of a coachee. Okay. And Nutan, culture is? Okay, context is client's life situation, experiences, goals, beliefs, and culture is the social surrounding includes beliefs. Okay, culture is a sphere of influence. Context in my understanding is a reference to the immediate situation the client is in. Culture is again specific to the background, gender, personal understanding of the beliefs. Thank you. Thank you so much, people. Okay, I'm just going to add my bit, and then we can have a together bit like. So easy part is culture for me, right? So we all are a complex creature. Human being is a complex creature. I say there is a brain, like a CPU inside and a lot of complex wiring inside. That wiring has been built over a period of time. Yeah, the childhood memories, the teachers we have, the accidents we encounter, the books we read, and the experiences we have had, and the bosses we have, and whatnot, right? So we are made up of all that, and that the way we think, the way we behave, the way we respond, the way we react, it's all combo of that. I call it a culture. Yeah, so we are a walking, talking computer. The wiring not to be seen. As client has a culture, you also have a culture. Might be in a typical Indian classic. I'll just take one example. In some cultures we respect elders. In some cultures they don't. Some cultures may believe in God. Some culture may not believe in God. And political views and all, we can have that. And context, as some of you have said, I align with that. Where you are, what is the job, what's the family, where are you living, your bank balance, car, the current thing. During a coaching conversation, these two live ecosystems are playing. It could be as simple as that, the way the client is addressing you, and you may not like it. It could be as simple as showing up on time. It could be as simple as that, if he's getting late, he informing you and you not liking it. It could be the value system. Yeah, it could be as minor in that, since that relates to presence as well. The context and culture, and if you see ICF competencies has been referred in lot many places. It's in the evokes awareness, it's in the listening, it's in the presence, it's in the mindset at every moment. And as you change the coaching conversation, as is a new client, there's a new live CPU in front of you, wiring not to be seen. And that's the new, and same life also is happening to you. Right? Some are young people, some are single, some are married, some are divorced, some are parents, some are grandparents, some are retired, some are from Google, just let go. And you are there. And how do you manage that? And in that, how do you manage your coaching mindset? All that definition, hey, it's a creative process. I need to be present. I need to listen. I need to believe he can do it. And this is where I'm inviting again that being plays a lot of role of, am I there with client? And if you see the ethics part, they've added one more line, anybody from the military background. That's a recent edit to the ethics part. Now in India, we may not find that so much of value, or I don't know, not value, but heightened awareness about that. But apparently the story goes, one coach declined a client who came from an ex-military background where the countries had conflict. And in ethics, it says, no, I will not decline. So it goes to that level. Yeah. Another part of being, and that's a classic trap of my value system versus your value system. Yeah. Am I as a coach aware of that? During chemistry meeting as well, this may not happen during your coaching sessions. What kind of energies are you radiating when you're there? If you get this word, just by your being, simple things. Yeah. So those are the two keywords which have influenced me a lot, and they influence coaching conversation a lot. The way you show up. Yeah. The context and a culture when you apply that coaching mindset. Rather than this being a definition, this is a classic trap. So I'm going to straight explain this as a trap. Continues coaching in the direction of the client's desired outcome unless and until the client indicates otherwise. And I know this is part of CKA as well. It was part of earlier CKA. It is part of this CKA also. Some people who have a good corporate experience and a lot of corporate success, they find it very, very difficult. And this comes in the last part, actioning part as well, of we giving freedom to client, of choosing, of thinking, of doing. Yeah. As a coach, I'm not deciding what is good for client. And this is the line is very critical. Continues coaching in the direction of the client's desired outcome, not you. And you as a coach may think, hey, this is wrong for client in this moment, unless and until it is, death and suicidal and thing. Again, that part is covered in ethics. But during coaching, you are bringing yourself, but in competency, we're saying, hey, he's complete, he's resourceful, and he's creative, he's talented. He knows what is best for him. There's another classic trap. So while agreement, when you see the agreement competency, it looks like a procedural. Huh? Oh, you have to create a document, you have to sign, what will happen during coaching journey, what will happen in today's session, who all are the stakeholders, how many sessions we will do, who will pay the logistics, etc., etc. It looks like a logistical competency. To me, it is far more than that. It is really during coaching. Are you comfortable? The client is taking a dance in a particular way. Are you comfortable going there? Additional freedom we have as a coach is actually validating. Hey, I see you going in that direction. Is there you would like to go? Sometimes this also happens. The coaching starts from one topic and it goes to another topic. Before you continue dancing, you may want to remind client, hey, dear client, we started here and now I see you are going there. What would you like to discuss? Give him the choice. Rather than saying, hey, I have a 30 years experience, that's the wrong direction you are going into. Are you a fool? I'm exaggerating, I know. And are you okay changing the direction? And in coaching mindset also, we talk about the style which is open and flexible. During coaching, it will happen. During coaching journey, it will happen. If you're contracting with a client for 6 to 10 sessions, your direction may change, involve the stakeholders and allow it to change. But do cross-check with client. Yeah, sounds very simple statement, very, very powerful. You can't dictate the direction of the dance, let client dictate. All right. Okay, quiz question again. Go to your chat box. 2 keywords in the definition. Maintains presence, is fully conscious and present with the client. Let me stop sharing my screen. What do you understand? What meaning do you make? Conscious and present. And no is a valid answer, or confusing is a valid answer. Go to chat box. Vivek, this is being conscious to me is, and this is present to me. All answers are right answers again. Being present would mean nothing being distracted. Okay. Here and now. Okay. Anybody for conscious? What is being conscious? Avoiding digital distraction. Okay. Present mindfulness, being present in the moment as if nothing else exists. Being present is complete undivided attention. Present physical conscious mentally. Okay, Devika. In the moment, conscious being aware of own feelings. Okay. Trying to hear what the client is saying, not saying. Self-awareness of being coach. Present means where. Okay. So Gaurang says consciousness means self-awareness of being a coach and presence means, okay, tune into situation. Thank you. Thank you. All views, right views. I'm just going to put in my thing. Consciousness to me is internal about few more things, right? About me, self. So I'm conscious about that. I think something about client as well, if client is going through something, and about the environment, which may mean society, which may mean company for which it's happening. If something is happening in company you are aware of, or family where it is coming, that's internal bit to me. And present, I think a lot of you also have mentioned, for me, presence also is in the moment. Right? Now, for some coaches, due to this, since they are conscious, their internal dialogue is going, their mind is wandering, they are not in the room. So they are not present. And the moment you are not present, you're not listening to the client. You're not spotting their smile. You're not spotting their eye contact. You're not spotting their fidgeting. You're not spotting their leaning back. And that data input is not happening. And if you're only present but not conscious, that you're not processing what client is doing. So to me, presence is capturing the data here and now in the moment and converting into consciousness. And this is where these two things go hand in hand for me. Let me share my screen. So I'm with the client, I'm observing everything. Their mental shift, their smiles, their wink, their tonality, they're taking a break. I'm there with them. And whatever I receive, I connect with whatever I already know. And I use that for the next competency, which is listens actively. And there I come to know, hey, should I be taking silent? Should I be asking a question? That evokes awareness. And again, this goes to the being part. Again, today we are not going to talk about the practices you do as a coach, but this is the meaning to it. And again, we can ask ourselves, how easy for me is to be present in the room and conscious? Since only presence will not help and only being conscious will not help. But if you do both of these, then the sub postulates of this competency, you will be, it will be very easy for you. And the remaining statements in that competency talk about it, how to be present and what consciousness means. Yeah. So we need combination of both. Capture what's happening in the present, convert into consciousness. Yeah. And then listen and ask questions. Let me take a pause here. Saurav, 4:50. How are we doing on time?
We are doing quite okay. We have 13 minutes on the clock.
Okay. So I'll just might be covered 2-3 more and then we'll take Q&A. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah.
Thank you. Now I'm good. This question is more for practicing coaches now. In listens actively, while there are a lot many things, there's one line which says recognizes and inquires when there is more to what client is communicating. So it says you need to recognize, hey, client has to say something, and they really inquire, hey, what's up? What else? So question to you, practicing coaches, let me stop sharing. What is that you sense? What is that you see when you really do this bit of recognize and inquire? Client has to say something more. What have you learned? Go to chat box. Practicing coaches, tell us your secrets. Lata says you sense they're holding back. Can you listen deeply to what is not being said? Okay. Rachna says listen and understand what is not. Recognize if the dance is in the right direction. Okay. Create a space of silence. Recognize. Okay. And inquire about their emotional state. So I'm saying, friends, what do you sense and what do you see in the room which tells you the client has to say something? How do you sense that? What have you learned in your coaching practice? No response, body language, okay, thank you. Connection, okay. Non-verbal cues, silence, under breath words, okay, thank you, Rachna. Hesitation in communicating, change in tone, wow. Hesitant while sharing, awesome. Beautiful, thank you. Yeah, that's how it is. Expression, yep. Discomfort, yep, that's all, yeah. Thank you. As we discuss competencies, no, friends, you will realize while they are mentioned as a separate competency, but you can weave them in. Yeah. The blank stare, Devika says blank stare. Okay, thank you. If I'm conscious and I'm present, for example, client started with a topic and in initial time he was very passionate and he was talking, and now suddenly I say, the moment I touch that area, suddenly the client becomes silent. So my consciousness and presence, I am sensing, oh, client is not touching that. And then I'm saying, hey, something else is happening. And obviously we can play back and say, hey, I see that happening. What else is happening there? And I'm going to the next one, which is evokes awareness. They say using silence as a tool. And this is one place I've learned to use silence, saying, hey, what's happening there? And actually using silence. Yeah. So for listens actively, you would need presence. Yeah. That's the classic one. It's overbeaten word. Are you listening to get your turn to respond? Or are you really listening to understand? Yeah. Another mantra I have heard from my mentor coaches again is one line definition of coaching. The only agenda we as a coach have is to raise the level of awareness about coachee in their mind. The process is not for us. So one of the trap for coaches also, we say, hey, let me understand this. No, the coaching is not for your understanding. It is for their understanding. Yeah. Otherwise, you are investing time into, hey, let me understand this story. And then client will go on storytelling and you'll say, oh, client speaks a lot. Yeah. That's another trap. Sorry, I just took a digression there. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to next one. And I think we partly covered this. Evokes awareness. Facilitates client insight and learning by using tools and technique. And you will see this happening during the coaching conversation. During my classroom, I use the word called diamonds. As you are doing the coaching conversation and as clients start speaking, on the way as he speak, for you they are words, for client they are insights. And if you're present in the room, you will find out they'll be shining in their eyes, there'll be the eye glaze, and there'll be smile, and then energy will shift, and variety of things happen. And they have got an insight, the aha moment. If you're present in the room, you will spot it and you'll say, hey, what happened just now? I saw a shift in energy. I saw you smiling suddenly. Hey, what's happening? There is a surge in energy. You say, yeah, this happened. So in evokes awareness, we as a coach, we do two things. One is we spot for these diamonds and they are happening again and again and again. And client is the best person to spot that diamond, not you and me. And converting that into learning. That's the whole purpose we are there for. Yeah. Otherwise, there are a lot many diamonds. And as we come towards the end for action planning, we say, hey, so many things have come up. What would you like to do with them? And that's an interesting thing, which is in the competency, which is facilitates growth. I just want to highlight the one word here, promotes clients' autonomy in the coaching process. Please remember, some of the coaches take the ownership of actioning, result, review on themselves. The competency clearly says the ownership of actioning, of defining actions, review mechanism is of client. So we can ask questions so that they take ownership. So some of the recordings I've seen, they say, okay, so would you let me know next week when you do this? Would you send me an email? Would you need any support from me? How would I know? You need not know. Who needs to know? That question is very different. How will you ensure tracking of that? What may come in the way, you can ask that. Yeah. Again, that's the deep learning. And some of you, if you are doing coaching in the corporate context, some stakeholder there thinks we are in charge of end to end. So during contracting phase, make it clear the ownership of making this happen is of clients. Partners with client to transform the learning insight into action and promotes client autonomy in the coaching process. I think this is a very powerful statement. Coaching is a dance between coach and a coachee led by coachee. If coachee doesn't want to dance, fair enough. You can inquire, hey, what do you think you don't want to dance today? Is that what you want, not to dance? Yeah. So let me stop sharing my screen. Saurabh, that's what I had planned to cover today. I know it's slightly faster, but let me pause here with whatever time we have. If people have any questions or insights, we can discuss that with the time at hand.
Yeah, wonderfully wrapped up, Vivek, 5 minutes before the hour. And yeah, we may have time for a quick couple of questions. And while you are thinking, I must share this, that, you actually delivered on the promise of making us think or look at these keywords from a different lens. So, for example, cultivates trust. I always used to think that the client has to trust the coach enough to be able to be vulnerable, but the coach also has to trust the client. I never thought of it that way. And unless that trust happens, the partnering is going to be impacted.
Uh-huh.
I cannot be a partner and I will become a mentor or a consultant because I don't trust you enough.
Interesting.
To be complete. So that connection, I think, was the key moment for me in this webinar.
Thank you.
Anyone else has anything to ask or share? You can put it in the chat or you can raise your hand. or if you want to share what you learned. Yeah, Rachna, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Saurabh. So I just have a very basic question. While all the competencies are critical, and as human beings, I feel each one of us have our own journey. There may be certain competencies which may be coming very naturally to one coach, and some competency which another person may find difficult. But through your experience, can you share any competency which you would have observed? Typically, in coaches, when we go on our journey, we tend to not practice, or I don't know, coaches find difficulty in practicing a certain uh, competency. I think that will be a good, valuable information for me. Thank you.
Very good question. Number one, all competencies are equally important, right? Number one. Number two, while they appear in a particular sequence in a competency document, that no way relates to the importance of them, right? So they all are at same level. At different level of credentialing, ACC, PCC, MCC, there is a different evaluation which happens. Where are you on each competency? When I say that, as a beginner coach, one of the big hurdle I have seen is people really understanding difference between consulting, mentoring, and coaching, and really embodying coaching as a different practice altogether. And I use an analogy in our personal life, if I may share my personal example. So I play a role of a husband, I play a role of a son, and I play a role of a father. And there is no school I've gone to what to do as a father, what to do as a husband, and what to do as a son. And I flex my style when I play these three roles. I invite each one of you in our life. We may be playing these roles as a consultant when we have to give answer, as a mentor when we have to be guide on the side, and as a coach, we have to work in the space of unknown. Once you internalize that, when to do what, I think life will be simple. A lot of people struggle on really recognizing these three are separate. And the second is being aware, raising the level of awareness, saying this situation, what kind of a role do I need to play? Once you crack it, coaching will be very easy.
Sure. Thank you so much.
So I see a few people logging off. Could we just have everybody come on a video so that we can just take a quick pic?
Yeah, the team
As
picture.
many of you all could come on video, we would love to see you all and save the picture for the future.
I have a question I can ask.
Yes,
Yeah,
please go ahead.
Yeah, go
and
ahead.
I'm going to just click random candid photographs, pics.
Yeah.
So please just come on video. Thank you. Go on.
Yeah, so my question was on the three things you said: mentoring, consulting, because subconsciously it will still come in between as a coach. And many a times, like initial clients I've seen, even during the learning phases, that they will come and say, I don't know anything. I just came to you because you are a coach. So in a coach, they would like to find out and extract a mentor. And at that time, we will clarify that our role as a coach. But as the session progresses, I've also heard in some other sessions that you can bring the insight, you can talk about it, but how to talk about it is a very delicate thing. Like what insight you would like to give. So is it a strict no, or is there any leeway or any progress in the journey further? It is possible to do that.
So this is like a coach as a hurdle. Huh? Sorry, competency as a hurdle.
Competency as a hurdle.
So this is my understanding. Whenever we do chemistry meeting or whenever you do contracting with a client, please educate them. I think one of the role each one of us who's present today is to really educate people. And India is the fastest growing coaching market. Whichever client you are talking to for a potential coaching assignment, please invest 15-20 minutes. And there is enough material available online, videos, ICF website, which explain these three. All the big companies have a very nice L&D team which understand what is the difference between coaching, consulting, mentoring, etc. That's number one. Number two, some of the assignments, like, I'm a facilitator also, and I'm a coach also, and I'm a mentor in some cases. They expect me to play multiple roles, but whenever I sign an assignment, I ask them, for this particular one, what would you like? Like one of the assignment, the guy was promoted from a India sales head to a global sales head. And the topic for coaching was strategic thinking. Now, strategic thinking has two parts. One is the theory part of strategic thinking and the coaching part of strategic thinking. So the way we made a contract, I said, I'll do a 2 days classroom session to teach you what strategic thinking is all about. And I had a one-on-one classroom session, 8 hours in Pune, just to teach strategic thinking. And the second 6 sessions we did on implementing strategic thinking. It could be fear, it could be thinking big, it could be various things. And then we did a pure coaching. During the session, if you're changing your hats, please declare your.
We lost you,
Yeah,
Vivek.
I also
Not
lost.
able to hear you. Is it same with
And
everyone?
now it is breaking also,
Yeah.
the video.
Vivek,
Seems
could you-
like
It break for half a minute.
Okay, can you
Yeah.
hear me now?
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, if the situation demands, play the role and declare to the client. But please do not use as a shortcut. Some of us feel to really achieve the goal quickly, let me be consultant and then hurry up and give me the result and let the client clap. Please do not do that. If you have been invited as a coach, play the role of coach. Have trust on please trust the process. Yeah. Also, please remember, coaching is a tool. It may not be applicable in all cases. So don't force fit coaching everywhere. If teaching is required, please teach. But do ask client, hey, do you want a Jnana? WhatsApp is full of Jnana, right? Knowledge is free everywhere now. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Excellent insight. Thank you. So it's 2 minutes past 5, and with that, let me take this opportunity to thank all of you for joining, and most of all, thank you, Vivek, for taking the time to share your experience with us, and to ICF Pune, of course, for bringing all of us together on this platform. Have a great rest of the weekend, everyone. And please do click on that link in the chat for your CCEUs. And we will see you in the next session sometime soon. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Vivek.
Thank you, Saurabh.
Thank
you,
you.
Vivek.
Thank you, Saurabh.
Thanks, Saurabh.
Thank you, Vivek.
Thank you, Shilpa. Bye-bye. Bye-bye,
Yeah.
people.
Thank
Have a
Bye-bye.
nice
Thank
weekend.
you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.